Hey there, John Morris here, johnmorrisonline.com. This lesson, we're going to be taking a look at our title and tag. So I'm going to actually just be going through my own profile and writing kind of along with you to tell you what I would write. So I haven't used this profile in years, actually. I kind of got off Elance and Upwork 4 or 5 years ago and have done all my client work through my own website. So not a big deal for me to come here and change stuff around, but we're going to go through this sort of thing and tell you how I would do this. So first off, looking at the title, again, this is why it's important to have a strategy, because your strategy kind of dictates all of this stuff. So we know that we are taking the approach of going after a small niche. We're positioning ourselves as a specialist. And so what we want to do is build our profile in a way that speaks to that. So when we're talking about our title and our tags, it becomes a little bit kind of self-evident what we should do, right? We should speak to, again, let's say we're going to be a WooCommerce, we're going after this WooCommerce niche. Well, we want to speak to that. Now, what a lot of people do is they do like this. They just put a bunch of title tags and then they'll put expert at the end or developer at the end. And that's probably fine, but I really like to kind of try to speak to the client. Remember, this is what's going to show up on when your listing comes up in searches. This is one of the things that's going to show up. So I try to speak to them and really, try to get them to want to click on my profile. So, but you also do want to put in your keywords for searches. That's why people do that, is because they're just trying to come up for these different searches. So it's a fine line between doing this in a way that you'll come up for those searches, but also speaking to the actual humans that are going to be reading it. And so what I like to do is just a simple sentence. If I can type, specialize in. That's how your sentence should start. Make sure you spell it right. I specialize in. Basically, and then whatever you specialize in. I specialize in WooCommerce websites. Or I specialize in building WooCommerce websites. Or if you wanted, you could even, if you wanted to insert another keyword, you could say WooCommerce and WordPress websites, like this. Okay, but I always like to actually say the words I specialize in, because that really, to me, drives home the point that I'm not just throwing up a bunch of keywords. The second thing is it's going to be different from what everybody else out there is putting up, right? We've looked at some of the other freelancers out there. They're all just putting keywords with slashes and then putting developer or expert at the end of it, right? So you don't, again, a good rule of thumb is look at what everybody else is doing and do the opposite or do something different. I like to do this not only because it's different, but also because it actually says the words I specialize in. It puts that in their mind. Okay, so you just kind of save that like that, and now that's one of the things that's going to come up in the search when people are searching for someone, for WooCommerce or WordPress, and they see your listing, they're going to see that. The other thing then on top of that is the tags. So again, a lot of this becomes self-explanatory, but you want to stick to what your specialization is. So WooCommerce. All right, so there it is. We'll take WooCommerce, we'll take WordPress. And then we see WordPress. I happen to see WordPress e-commerce, right? So the thing is we don't want to dilute. Again, we don't want to dilute our approach, right? We want to really hone in tight on this idea of WordPress, WooCommerce, WordPress e-commerce, that sort of thing. Okay, so we don't want to, you can add more tags, you can add web development and this, that, the other, but that's not really what we're going after right now. What we're trying to do is the Upwork has a relevance score. Okay, this is the thing to keep in mind. They have a relevance score. It's part of how they surface, right? Because if you look at the freelancer base, there's how many of those freelancers out there that have a 99% job success rate, who are considered top-rated freelancers, who have, this huge long job history, that have this big portfolio, that have all of these markers that you would look at for quality, right? Those are all things that are aimed at quality. And Upwork is in the business of surfacing what the best freelancers for a client's particular project. What a lot of people miss is that last part, for a client's particular project. They focus on the best freelancers part. And they do. They have a kind of quality score. And they have a ranking and rating of all the freelancers on the site. But it's not just, you could be a freelancer for, data input. And you could have the highest job success score on Upwork. You could have the best job history, right? But you are not relevant for someone who's searching for WooCommerce. So relevance has to play a factor. That's the big thing to keep in mind here. Relevance has to play a factor. So they also have a relevance score. What we're doing is we're using that relevance score to our advantage. We're going all in on the relevance score because we don't have the job history. We don't have the portfolio. We don't have that part of it yet. So we have to go all in on relevance to try and get ourselves to rank higher than we might normally for very specific searches, in this case, WooCommerce. So that's why you don't want to dilute your tags. You don't want to add 15 tags that aren't relevant to the very specific thing that you are looking to specialize in. You want to stick to that thing because that's going to make your profile, it's going to signal to Upwork that your profile is WooCommerce. Highly relevant for WooCommerce. So that when someone does a search for WooCommerce, you are more likely to rank higher in that ranking than you might normally based off just your quality score. And then as we get clients, now we can build up our quality score. We'll move up much higher in that WooCommerce ranking, and then we'll reach a point where we're consistently ranking really high, top 1, 2, top 5. They do kind of rotate it a little bit, but top 5 or at least first page consistently for WooCommerce. Now we can expand. All right, now we can start to try and, we've got the quality score in place that we can start to be a little bit more aggressive and broaden our appeal. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. That's why you want to make sure and have very specific targeted title and tags so that we show up higher than we might normally for those particular kinds of searches. All right, so that's it. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Whatever you've decided to specialize in, go ahead and write a similar phrase to what I have for the title here, and then search for tags relevant to that and place those things in there. Pretty straightforward. So hopefully you got something out of that. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you next time.